Imagine walking your service dog, your lifeline, when a neighbor storms out, sprays chemicals straight into his face, and calls it community enforcement. Now imagine watching her freeze when police explain she's just committed a federal crime. This isn't fiction. It's exactly what happened to me in my own neighborhood. Before everything unraveled, life in Pinewood Heights felt almost picture-perfect. The kind of place where neighbors waved across freshly cut lawns, where the loudest noise was a lawnmower on a Saturday morning. For Jake, a 34-year-old veteran still piecing his life together after Afghanistan, it was exactly the peace he thought he needed. His constant companion was Rex, a 90-pound German shepherd wearing a bright red service vest. To anyone passing by, Rex looked like just another family pet. But to Jake he was so much more, a lifeline. Trained to sense anxiety spikes, block strangers from approaching Jake's blind side, and even wake him during night terrors, Rex was the steady heartbeat that made normal life possible again. Each morning walk felt like progress, each evening stroll a small victory. But in a neighborhood that seemed so safe, Jake had no idea how quickly peace could turn hostile. Pinewood Heights had always been a quiet place, but that peace fractured the moment Karen Whitmore decided to fix the community. 52, with a real estate license and a spotless Mercedes SUV, Karen thrived on appearances. She called herself a protector of property values. Everyone else called her the HOA's newest nightmare. Karen got herself elected to the board with promises of enforcing the rules fairly. But fairness was the last thing on her mind. She measured grass with rulers, timed sprinkler systems with a stopwatch, and mailed violation letters like they were holiday cards. For Karen, control was a sport. The first time she noticed Rex, she slowed her SUV to a crawl, rolling the window down to glare. "Big dogs aren't allowed here," she muttered loud enough for Jake to hear. That single sentence planted the seed. To Karen, Rex wasn't a medical necessity. He was a target. What began with petty warnings about trash cans and mailboxes would soon spiral into something darker. Because once Karen set her sights on you, she didn't let go. And Jake, with his service dog by his side, was about to learn just how far she would go. The first official blow landed in Jake's mailbox, a violation notice stamped in red, accusing him of keeping an unauthorized pet. The HOA demanded $500 immediately and threatened $50 fines for each day Rex remained on the property. Jake stayed calm. He'd learned in the military that emotion never won battles. He sent back a neat package, Rex's training certifications, ADA service animal documentation, even a note from his doctor. Everything by the book. But Karen didn't want facts. She wanted control. At the next board meeting, she waved the paperwork like it was a bad report card. "Anyone can fake this," she scoffed, loud enough for the room to hear. "That's not a service dog. It's just an expensive pet." Neighbors shifted uncomfortably in their chairs, but nobody spoke up. Jake felt the sting, not just for himself but for every veteran who'd ever fought to be taken seriously. Still, he held his ground. "Rex is my service dog," he said firmly. "And the law protects us both." Karen's eyes narrowed. For her, it wasn't just about rules anymore. It was personal. And personal vendettas have a way of burning hotter than any HOA policy ever could. Karen's obsession turned into a campaign. She followed Jake and Rex on their walks, phone camera in hand, narrating like she was hosting a crime documentary. "Day 12, she whispered loudly. "The so-called service dog is just sniffing around like any pet." She flooded the community Facebook group with posts about service animal fraud, and claimed Jake was scamming the system for sympathy. Flyers appeared in mailboxes with headlines like, "Is your neighbor's pet really a service dog?" The breaking point came at an emergency HOA meeting. Karen slammed a thick folder onto the table, filled with internet printouts about fake service animals. She pointed at Jake. "If you're really disabled, prove it. We want medical records, evaluations, the works. This community deserves the truth." The room went silent. Jake's pulse hammered, but he didn't waver. "What you're asking is illegal," he said flatly. "The ADA doesn't allow you to demand medical files. The only questions you can ask are, is this dog required because of a disability, And what tasks is he trained to perform? Karen's nails clicked furiously against her clipboard. She'd been outmaneuvered, but instead of backing down, her anger doubled. And that's when harassment turned to hostility. A hostility that would soon explode in the ugliest way possible. It happened on a warm evening in late spring. Jake and Rex were halfway through their usual loop, the sunset painting the houses gold, when Karen stepped out from behind her hedge. In her hand, a spray bottle filled with cloudy liquid. "You're letting that beast ruin my roses," she snapped, though Rex was calmly padding along the sidewalk nowhere near her yard. Before Jake could respond, she lifted the bottle and sprayed directly into Rex's face. The hiss of chemicals filled the air, followed by Rex's yelp of pain. The German shepherd pawed frantically at his eyes, whining, stumbling. The sharp sting of ammonia and vinegar burned Jake's nose instantly. Time slowed. Combat instincts surged through Jake's veins, the same instincts that had kept him alive overseas. But instead of lashing out, he remembered his training, document everything. He pulled out his phone, hit record, and steadied his voice. "Karen," he said coldly, "you just assaulted my service dog. That's a federal crime." She froze for a second, then scoffed. "It's harmless, just natural deterrent." She tried to hide the bottle behind her back, but it was too late. Neighbors had already stepped outside. The evidence was burned into Rex's red eyes and caught on camera. 20 minutes later, the flashing lights of a patrol car lit up the street. Officer Martinez stepped out, the chemical smell still heavy in the evening air. He took one look at Rex's watering eyes and shook his head. He said firmly to Karen. "Interfering with a service animal is a federal offense. We're talking up to 6 months in jail and a $50,000 fine." For the first time, Karen's mask cracked. Her face went pale, her mouth opening and closing like she couldn't find air. Felony? For this?" she stammered, pointing at the bottle in her hand. "Yes. Same penalties as assaulting a federal officer," Martinez replied. Neighbors whispered from their porches. One mom confirmed she'd seen the whole thing. Another played back video from her phone. The evidence was overwhelming. Karen's shoulders slumped as if the weight of reality had finally dropped onto her chest. That was the moment she froze, the moment the self-proclaimed HOA enforcer realized her little power trip had just detonated her entire. The vet's report confirmed it. Rex had chemical burns on his nose and around his eyes. Minor injuries, but proof enough. Police reports piled up, neighbors gave statements, and suddenly Karen's world started unraveling. Whispers spread through Pinewood Heights. Residents who once nodded politely now crossed the street to avoid her. Old stories surfaced, harassment of families with disabled children, targeting elderly neighbors for medical equipment. The pattern was undeniable. For Jake, the hardest part was watching Rex flinch at the smell of cleaning products, his once eager walks slowed by anxiety. But every painful reminder only strengthened Jake's resolve. He'd fought through war, divorce, and recovery. He wasn't about to let one petty tyrant undo the progress he'd made. And as the investigation deepened, it became clear, this wasn't just about one dog. This was about holding an entire system accountable. Within weeks, Karen was removed from the HOA board in a vote so lopsided it was almost embarrassing. The same neighbors she once bullied now demanded her resignation. Federal prosecutors pursued charges: assault on a service animal, harassment, and civil rights violations. Her once thriving real estate career collapsed overnight as clients fled. The Mercedes SUV sat in the driveway collecting dust, a monument to her downfall. For Jake, justice wasn't about revenge. It was about change. He partnered with a local paralegal to help other disabled residents fight discrimination. Together, they launched Rex's Fund, a program providing resources for veterans in need of service animals. Rex healed, both physically and emotionally, returning to his role with quiet loyalty. Each walk through the neighborhood was a reminder. Justice doesn't always come fast, but when it arrives, it comes with finality. Here's the truth: service dogs aren't pets. They're medical lifelines. And the law protects them with the same weight it protects their handlers. Karen learned that the expensive way, you don't have to, If you've ever faced harassment for having a service dog or disability, know this, you're not powerless. The law is on your side. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done the moment Karen pulled out that spray bottle? And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Because the more these stories are told, the fewer Karens get away with hiding behind HOA power.